Good morning, welcome to another video. Today I will be bringing you some Silph Arena content. This is my first Labyrinth Cup for the month of February. It was a quick 3-round tournament that hasn't technically concluded yet, but I do go 3-0, winning the tournament outright, which is the first time I have done that ever since tournament started back in 2019 through the Silph Arena. The restrictions on this cup are many meta bans like no Azumarill, no Galarian Stunfisk, no Altaria, things like that. You can only use a Pokemon with a typing once on your team. So say you have a water type, you can't bring anything else with water typing like a Whiscash or what else would you see? Maybe a Swampert. So my team consists of a Chestnut, Alolan Ninetales, Alolan Marowak, Mandibuzz, Politoed, and Magnezone. This team took me a very long time to create in terms of figuring out how it's going to work together. So let's get into our first set of battles. And remember, if you do like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and I will do my best to create some more content like this in the future. So let's get into it. So this is my first opponent. He was the top of the tournament bracket. So I have never beaten him. I've only played him, I think, once before, maybe twice. His team consisted of Tropius, Galvantula, Whiscash, Alolan Marowak, Sudowoodo, and Zoelis, which I worried heavily about the Galvantula against my team because my only real counter for it was Alolan Marowak. So let's get into this first battle. And I win the lead, which is great for me. Mandibuzz into Alolan Marowak. He switched into Sudowoodo, and so I'm like, okay, I need to switch into Politoed. And I'm shielding this first attack because I thought it may have been an Earthquake. But as you'll see, he doesn't have Earthquake. He has Rock Slide and Stone Edge on his Pseudo, which was very interesting to see. So I throw the Weather Ball because Weather Ball spam is amazing. And this will force the shield if he wants to not waste all the energy he's built up. And he does, which is great for me. So then I'm going to farm some more. And because I'm not sure how much damage a Charge Move would actually do to my Politoed, I shield this up. That way I can throw again. So I take out his Sudowoodo. And he brings in Zoelis. And I tried to get to the Earthquake, but just as I got there, he farmed me down. So now I'm bringing in my Alolan Ninetales that I knew I needed as like a potential counter for the Zoelis. And I let that charge move go through, which was a body slam from the Zoelis. And then he switches into his Alolan Marowak, catching this charge move, which is a Size Shock from my Ninetales. So then I instantly swap back into my Mandibuzz, which has a favorable matchup against the Marowak. And I'm running Dark Pulse as opposed to Foul Play because the damage output is greater. And it gives me a little more coverage, I guess. Well, not say coverage, but it allows me to win more matchups. So he throws a Shadow Bone into which is resisted, into my Mandibuzz. So then I farm down the Marowak and then throw an aerial ace onto the Zoelis, which honestly neither move is great on this because Zoelis is a dark dragon. And aerial ace is just a terrible flying move. So I get that last shield, which works out for me. And just before I get to that aerial ace, he throws the body slam. And then he throws again, so I can't throw that aerial ace. But now he's low on energy or without energy altogether. So then my Ninetales can come in, just chunk away with those powder snows and win the game. So now we're going to game 2. I'm feeling confident. So I figured that Tropius might come in, and unfortunately it's not. It's still Zoelis, and I'm in a bad situation here because this Bone Club is a terrible move in general, and I believe only does neutral damage to this Zoelis. As you can see, it does like nothing. But he's just farming and farming. So I'm not going to let this Dark Pulse go because I'm in a losing matchup. So then I bring in the Ninetales, and I stupidly swapped into Mandibuzz because I honestly didn't bring the counter for Sudowoodo. So at this point, this game is technically over because there's no way I can really beat his Sudowoodo plus whatever's in the back. So I'm just throwing Dark Pulses and hoping to get shields. And I don't get the shield. So his counters are doing neutral damage because Sudowoodo has counter Rock Slide, Stone Edge. You can also have Earthquake on it as well, which is what I would have been running personally. So I don't shield. I let that go just to see how much damage it actually does, which, as you can see, it did a good amount, but maybe they'll go to another charge move, which this should force the shield. And it does. So now I think I'm in an okay situation, but as you'll see, I am not really doing so well. Because yes, I can shield this up, but within the back, it's the Marowak, which can pretty much just farm me down because there's nothing I can do to win this matchup now. Just farm, farm, farm. I can throw all these weather balls because they're resisted, which both moves are because of the fire ghost typing of Marowak. And that's, yep, he throws just because. I'm not really sure why he threw. He probably could have just farmed down, but my Ninetales does have really good IVs, so that's the end of game 2. So now I'm like, what's he going to bring? He had success with Zoelis as a lead, so maybe he's going to bring it again, was my thinking. So I believe I bring the Ninetales lead with the Politoed and Mandibuzz in the back. And I was correct in my prediction. And he switches out. So I switch into Politoed. And as you saw in the first matchup, I will win this because I do not mind double shielding my Politoed against this Sudowoodo. Weather Ball just chunking away on the rock typing of the Sudowoodo. I shield this up because I don't want to take any damage really from this. So I'll throw another one that will force the shield. And there it is. I believe he's going to throw again, and I think I shield this one as well, just in case he has the Marowak in the back, even though I have Mandibuzz, which also covers, but I don't have any answer. This is my only answer on my team for this Sudowoodo, besides my chestnut, which I didn't bring. So we take up the Sudowoodo. In comes the Wayless, and instead of trying to go for the Earthquake this time, I just throw the Weather Bell, which does like nothing, but it's chip damage anyways, eventually. It helps. He fires me down. I bring back the Ninetales and throw the Weather Ball. But he caught it onto his Marowak because I didn't see him switch in time. So then I swap back into my Mandibuzz, which he didn't know about. And there's nothing his Marowak can do as far as I'm concerned, because I resist the Shadow Bone that he has, and Bone Club is a terrible move. So there's the Shadow Bone. As you can see, it doesn't do like anything to me. So there's another one. No big deal. I farm him down. Back comes the Wayless. I'm gonna throw this Aerial Ace. But as far as I'm concerned, this game is over because I still have the Ninetales. That's doing pretty well for health. And there's the Lost Shield, which will secure me the victory. So he's going to throw a Body Slam here. And he's going to throw one more. But because I've done like the Dragon Breaths are resisted on Ninetales because of the Fairy typing, this is a good game, and it felt so good to actually win my first round against somebody who was way better than me. Let's jump into the second round opponent. His team was exactly the same as mine, except he had a Kanto, Raichu, and Dragonair. So I led Mandibuzz again, and I caught the lead of Alola Marowak, which was wonderful to see. I always love winning lead. He switches out into Raichu, so I switch into my Ninetales because I didn't really have a hard counter for this that I brought with me. So he throws a Wild Charge, which surprised me because I wasn't sure he could get to it that quickly. So here I'm throwing a Psyshock, trying to burn shields, and I get the first shield, which is great. So here I shield up this one, which is another Wild Charge. And instead of throwing energy, I let it go, which was a mistake on my part, I think. But, so we lose that, so we lose the switch. And so I bring in the Alola Marowak and farm him down. In comes the Dragonair. And I am throwing a Shadow Bone, which gets shielded, which is great for me. So now it's coming an Aqua Tail from the Dragonair, which would be doing a ton of damage. So I shielded it up, built up to the Shadow Bone, and now I'm throwing this Dark Pulse onto the Dragonair. And his Dragonair is pretty tanky because it survived. And so he switches into his Alola Marowak, which isn't really a favorable matchup for him, but so then now I'm throwing a Dark Pulse, which will do a ton of damage to this Marowak. So he's throwing another Bone Club, because I believe he has Shadow Ball, if I remember correctly from the last match of this round. So now I'm going to build up a little extra energy and throw the Aerial Ace. But this game is well in hand, and so now that that's gone, in comes the Dragonair, and I'm just going to throw the Shadow Bone from the Marowak, like instant swapped, just because I didn't want to mess around anymore. And that takes out the Dragonair. So let's go into the second game here. Didn't know what to lead, so I thought he might bring the Chestnut lead, and he brought an Alola Marowak, which is bad for my Ninetales, being an Ice Fairy type. As you can see, those Fire Spins are chunking away. So I don't really have any play here, but I also only have a Politoed to counter, and I don't want that getting hard countered as well. So I figure I'll give up the switch, give up the lead here, just throw. And this Marowak shouldn't be shielding, but he does shield twice, shielding 2 Side Shocks from my Alola Ninetales, which both would have been resisted, and just farms me down after I throw this Weather Ball, because my Alola Ninetales is chunky, which I like. So now he farms me down here. So now I bring in my Politoed expecting the Shadow Ball to come through, but he doesn't throw. He only gets 2 Fire Spins off, and I'm able to get to the Weather Ball, which takes out this this Alola Marowak. Come to find out, he got distracted and was upset about it, but we didn't rematch. He didn't tell me about it until the next day. So he throws the Wild Charge. I shielded up because I know I can get her this Earthquake on my Politoed, which will one-shot the Raichu, because Raichu is super squish. And boom, bye-bye Raichu. And then I instant swapped into my Chestnut onto this Alola Ninetales, because I didn't know what he was going to have. I just wanted to get something with the full health in the game. And I shield up that first Weather Ball. But I'm throwing the Super Power here, which will do a neutral damage because of the Fairy Ice typing. And he throws another charge move here, which I think if he had just farmed down, maybe he could have won this match. And I'm able to get to this Weather Ball here, which should be enough to take out this Ninetales. So as you can see, bam, it's done. So I should have lost this match, ideally, if he didn't get distracted, but I'm going to take the win, and that's good. So we'll go into game 3, which is just for fun. So I led the Mandibuzz. He brought in the Raichu, just to counter. Now I brought Chestnut, because why not? I wanted to counter for the Raichu. That was legit. He throws the Wild Charge. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to let this one go, because Wild Charge is technically resisted because of the Grass typing. It lands, but now he's thrown 2, so now I'm going to throw this Energy Ball, because I don't want to debuff myself, like he has twice with the Wild Charge. He shields, which surprised me. I thought he would let it go. Or maybe he threw a Brick Break, that's what it was. But here's another Brick Break, which does like nothing. And now I'm throwing another Energy Ball here. And I get the last shield, which was super surprising, because I'm still able to farm him down right afterwards. And then I switch into Polytoad onto this Marowak. And the Marowak with no shields is a dead Marowak against my Polytoad. So I let that go. He switches into the Dragonair. I'm going to shield up this Aqua Tail because why not? And now I'm throwing an Earthquake just for fun. See how much damage it does. Now I'm throwing another Weather Ball. Which takes out the Dragonair. And then I swap into my Mandibuzz. To my Chestnut by accident, actually. Yeah, I made a mistake there. I was trying to switch into the Mandibuzz, throw the Superpower, which is resisted. He farms it down. I bring back the Mandibuzz, hit the Dark Pulse, which I was trying to do before, and I didn't. So that's a good game. Thank you for the battles. And let's get into this third set. So this is my third round opponent. He was the second highest rated person. His team has Sableye, Skarmory, Whiscash, and a bunch of other things that I didn't like to see. So I let Chestnut as a lead because I wasn't sure, hoping the Whiscash would be the lead. And just trying to switch into the Ninetales, I believe, in the back, but I clicked on the Marowak. And this is a losing matchup for me because of the Shadow Claw damage from this Sableye. So I'm going to let it go. Bring back my Chestnut. He also had a Blaziken and Wigglytuff as well, which Wigglytuff isn't good for this team, really, because my only hard counter for it is Magnezone. Mandibuzz actually was a Pokemon I wanted to use more in this, but he has so many things that can beat it in the one shield. So he let that Energy Bell go through on his Sableye, which takes it out. Back comes this Wigglytuff. So I throw the Superpower, hoping he doesn't shield. But he does. So now I bring in the Ninetales. And throw the Weather Ball here. And this is a good game because there's not really much I can do now. Because these Weather Balls from Empowder Cells are only neutral damage. And because I think Mud Bomb does more damage. But being behind on energy, HP, this is a losing matchup for me. So I'm just going to not quite give up, but just throw as much energy as I can at him. So I shield this up because I didn't know what to do. I was lost, and he had an extra Mud Bomb because I didn't think he had that much energy. So I was a little bit shocked by that. So I bring in the Mandibuzz, and I believe that was, and I lose that. Not the Mandibuzz or whatever I had there. So let's go in the second game. This one took me a while to figure out what to bring, because I knew the Whiscash would be an issue. The Wigglytuff would be an issue. He didn't bring his Skarmory until the last game. He didn't bring the Blaziken. So I was like, what can he bring? I knew Stabilizer a huge issue because my only counter is Mandibuzz. So I'm like, you know what? I'll bring that in the back here. And I think I led Politoed and then had the Ninetales and Mandibuzz. But let's see what I brought. As you can see, he's taking a while to figure out what I'm going to do to counter him. But I left this time in here just to show that even when you win, it takes time to just relax and figure out what your next moves are going to be. And I also took not quite this much time, but so let's jump into this battle here. So I led Politoed, and he led a Bomb of Snow, which that was his sixth. And this is the bad matchup for me. It's terrible because I lose this into one shield. He can go straight Energy Ball. So I'm trying to bait here with the Weather Ball, hoping to get the shield so then I can throw the Earthquake. We just need to move her super effective on it, but Earthquake does do more damage. Unfortunately, he doesn't shield. And so I throw the Earthquake now. And what happens? Oh, he shields it, so not good for me. So this whole thing is looking quite terrible, actually. So I let this go. Like, okay, I lost the lead. We're at even shields. So I bring in the Ninetales. And there's nothing this, well, not to say the Energy Ball will do a good chunk of damage, but the Weather Ball from the is resisted. So he threw the Energy Ball, I properly shielded, farmed up a ton of energy before throwing. So I land this Weather Ball. Let's see what comes in. In comes the Whiscash. So I'm throwing another Weather Ball. I'm just going to spam these as fast as I can. Just to chunk away. Because I have Mandibuzz in the back. And I don't want to get hit by the Blizzard. And I know he's going to need to throw some energy here to take out my Ninetales. So I get that shield, which I was so thankful for. Here comes the Mud Bomb from Whiscash. Farm, get this charge move. Yep, we get the Weather Ball here. In comes another Mud Bomb from the Whiscash. And at this point I'm thinking, what's he have in the back? Because he brought that in against this, so what could there be? So then I swapped into my Mandibuzz. I'm going to throw this Dark Pulse, which is neutral damage because Sableye is a dark ghost type. But I believe I needed the Dark Pulse just for this matchup. I think in particular, I don't think Foul Play would have done it. So I believe this is a return because he does not have Power Gem. That does a decent chunk of damage. So now I'm going to farm. And then I throw an Air Lace, I believe that is, which takes out the Sableye, and then have enough energy to take another Air Lace to take out this Whiscash. So that was a good game, coming back from a bad lead on my part. So let's get into game 3. I'm like, had to do something, so it's tied 1-1, and I picked the Marowak, and I won the lead. Skarmory loses to Marowak. These fire stones are chunking. And I know I need to bait this to win it. So I build up to what it would be a Shadow Ball, which I don't even have. I have Shadow Bone, which is only 5 fire spins. And I bait the Bone Club, get the shield. Okay, so now I'm in a good position. I can shield up this Sky Attack or Brave Bird, whatever he was going to throw. It's the Sky Attack. Now I'm going to farm, get to this Shadow Bone, which will do a decent chunk of damage. Nice, he switches out. Now I'm going to switch into my Politoed here against the Whiscash. Throw these Weather Balls, which are neutral damage because of the water ground typing. No need to build up to the Earthquake. I don't shield this first one, I don't believe. Nope. Because Mud Bomb is resisted. Oh, he throws a Blizzard, and I'm like, okay, that's resisted too, but still a decent chunk. So now I'm shielding this one up, which is only a Mud Bomb at this point. So then I'm going to throw another Weather Ball here. Get the shield, which is good for me. And I'm able to get to another Weather Ball before he throws his energy. I think he was trying to farm up to 2 Mud Bombs, but can't really say. So I take out the Whiscash. In comes the Skarmory. Does a nice chunk of damage there. And I try to get to that Weather Ball. Unfortunately, I cannot. So I bring back the Marowak. Farm it down. Throw this. Didn't care what it was. I was throwing it. Through the Shadow Bone here. That takes that out. And what's he have in the back? It's a Bomb of Snow. Couldn't have asked for anything better. Throwing this last set. There's another Shadow Bone here. And then insta swapping, catching the charge move on my Ninetales. So I'd like to thank my opponent. This was a great game. Here I can just farm him down. And that's a good game. So after that third battle, I was jumping up crazy, and because I'm a sore winner and a sore loser, so luckily these tournaments are remote, so nobody could see my reaction, but being able to win this tournament was great for me. So I want to thank all my opponents for the great battles. I really enjoyed every second of it, especially those last battles, which were so intense because I wasn't sure what was on the back. And if you like this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next one. Thanks.